that we're going to see today, and start with some housekeeping. So the first of all, audio is super important. You've got a couple of audio options. So down in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you can configure your audio. This is a webinar format, so it's going to be one-way audio. So if you do want to ask any questions or interact with us, use the Q&A tab, and we'll most likely answer those questions at the end of the presentation. This presentation is being recorded, so we're going to make the slides and the recording available to all those that registered after the webinar. And we'll also hopefully get back to any of your questions that we don't get to here live today. Finally, I think I've mentioned this to a couple of folks already, is we are going to be active on Twitter today, sharing content and insights from the webinar. If you feel like sharing anything, please mention AnyRoad and use the hashtag Experiential. So I'm just going to make sure I've got a chat coming through, which is great. I think important to note is you have two AnyRoad presenters today. Most of you already know Lauren Snyder, who's our VP of Customer Success. Lauren, do you want to come off mute and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. My name is Lauren. I know some of you already, but for those of you who I don't know, my team and I work with our awesome customers to measure and grow the impact of their experiential marketing activities, such as classes, events, workshops, and meetups. And prior to AnyRoad, I led success and operations at companies like Nurex, Zenefits, and One Medical Group.
Thanks, Lauren. And so it's my turn. Michael O'Connell is my name, and I'm the VP of Marketing here at AnyRoad. And I'm still the new guy, so I started 4 weeks ago. And prior to AnyRoad, I'm a 15-year B2B marketing career professional. And I've had the privilege of marketing to marketers in my last two roles at Optimizely and Quantcast. So I really truly appreciate the value that Experiential brings to companies, but also the value that modern marketing technology can bring to us in our roles to make sure that we prove value and really help our companies grow. So next up, I think for those that are less familiar, because I'm seeing a bunch of folks on here that are new to AnyRoad. AnyRoad is the leader in a new category of software that we call Experiential Relationship Management, or ERM for short. And so founded in 2013, where we're backed by a number of leading investors, and we empower global brands to properly measure and implement their experiential marketing programs. So companies like Budweiser, Honda, Michaels, and Tabasco all count on AnyRoad for anything from activations to tours to classes. And so while our core DNA is weighted, I suppose, towards physical and real-world experiences, we've seen our customers move online, and we've accelerated our product development efforts to make sure that we're supporting them. And so I actually see a bunch of these customers on the call today, in addition to some prospects that from a variety of other industries and companies. And some of my favorite brands are here, which is really pleasing to see. So I'd like to thank you all for taking an hour out of your day to join us. And now we'll jump into the content. So it's safe to say that we're facing some pretty scary and unprecedented challenges as humans and businesses. And so while preparing this deck, it took me a while to find some appropriate headlines to illustrate just how fast things have changed. And while stuck at home, I've been doing the inevitable spring cleaning. And I found two covers of The Economist magazine that are spaced 1 month apart. But they really demonstrate just how fast things have changed for us and how the global economy has really been turned on its head. So 1 month after talk of a $2 trillion bull run, we're seeing a cover here that talks about a global shutdown, close for business. And while we're seeing $2.3 trillion of federal funding being injected into the US economy, we still face a bunch of uncertainty, and uncertainty is the biggest challenge for many of us. And so this is made more challenging for consumers, with 30 million newly unemployed, 40% of the global population on lockdown, and indeed thousands of our events and experiences canceled. And so we'll all be challenging ourselves to ask, where do we go from here? But I think we look for good news in our feeds. Sorry, I skipped ahead a slide there. But in addition to all this kind of bad news that we're seeing remarkable innovation and resilience from people and brands. So personally, I seek out these good news stories as they help me keep me motivated, but they also help me understand how we can help our customers and some of the tactics that us as marketers can do to stay engaged with our consumers. And so the example I like to reference is Nana, the Italian grandmother who runs pasta making classes in her home outside Rome. Nana Live is an Airbnb experience which allows anyone to live stream cooking class for $50. So Nana, just like many others, have taken their message online and built cult followings while also giving people authentic entertainment. The other one is Joe Wicks. He's a fitness instructor based in the UK and who's recently taken the world by storm to deliver daily PE classes to kids and adults for that matter. So he broke a Guinness World Record the other day by having 1 million people dial into his HIIT class. And it's his enthusiasm and energy that's and that feel-good factor that he's giving people every day that's drawing people to this content. And so if you don't know Joe Wicks, he's also an excellent cook and has some great content that he produces with 15-minute meals that are super healthy. So I'd recommend you check him out. Another really good example of innovation is Evo Entertainment in Texas, who converted their parking lot to a drive-in. So movie patrons can drive their car to the car park, and they can also listen in through an audio broadcast on AM or FM. Screenings are free, but every single show has been booked out since they've started. And what's interesting about this is drive-ins are an old school analog medium, for lack of a better word, that's taken on a new lease of life. And I think this type of medium is actually a wonderful opportunity for brand activations. So it's not just an opportunity for cinemas to stay engaged and maybe keep a revenue stream. It's something that brands can use to create a pop-up experience. So, the other thing that we're seeing is wonderful stories of our first responders and our essential workers. There's actually another group of professionals that I think that are inspiring a lot of us. It's the network operations professionals that power the internet. So just like your electricity company, we only kind of think of these professionals when something goes wrong. But we're seeing millions of workers and students pivot to online in a very, very short space of time. Zoom is up above 300 million active users every day, and that's from 10 million just 3 months ago. And the internet's seeing Black Friday levels of traffic every single day, yet our infrastructure is holding. And so there's so much to be inspired and motivate us as we move forward. So many of these examples of ingenuity also demonstrate that people are seeking community online. And so where once people went to the park, the pub, or the club, instead they've turned online, and we've seen tools and apps like Nextdoor and House Party surge in popularity. As experiential marketers, this proves that we can add value and remain relevant in the near and medium term. But it also exposes new demographics to us that we may not have come across our brand. So people that typically did not spend a lot of time online are spending more time than ever. And there's numbers to show it. The rapid pace of adoption of these apps and technologies does create those new mediums. And I for one have really enjoyed using Nextdoor. Not only does it keep me up to date on community news, but there's plenty of neighborhood drama, car break-ins, disagreements over parking. The whole works is up on Nextdoor, but it does bring our community together more than anything. And when we talk about communities, as marketers, we understand that brands can play a big role in communities. And I think we can also play a leadership role in getting us through all these challenges that I've talked about. And so the strongest brands with the most loyal communities can create environments for their followers to remain engaged and to create valuable social outlets for them. And this not only has a societal benefit, but it also has a financial benefit for brands. So I'm reminded of a countless articles on the value of brand communities, but the one piece that stands out to me is the book Tribes by Seth Godin, where he outlines the leadership role that brands can play. So definitely worth checking out if you can. And so the academic articles also talk about ROI, but the one vertical where I've seen the power of community most recently is online fitness. So Peloton's business is booming as it appeals to many aspects of the human psyche: wellness, competitiveness, and community. And although I haven't actually tried out Peloton yet, I've got plenty of friends who have, and they're totally converted, you know, and I think that popularity impacts the bottom line and the share price. So that investment in community pays off for brands. I think of other brands that are experiencing difficult times, like Barry's Bootcamp, because they've had to close their premises, but they pivoted to online. And I've got a neighbor who's a Barry's Bootcamp instructor who has me up at 6 a.m. in the morning because he does the classes outside in his back garden and streams them. So I think there's wonderful opportunities for brands here to stay connected and use streaming as a medium to do that. And so, you know, some of our customers talk about the importance of community. And so this quote from Michael's CEO, Mark Cosby, was from a 2019 earnings call, and it underscores the importance of community to the Michaels brand. And so Michaels have invested in engaging their maker community and trying to bring them together, because the makers not only want to buy their product and engage with it, they want to engage with one another. We've also seen this community focus from the Bud Light team, who created the dive bar tour to bring people together over Bud Lights. I did feel left out that I didn't get the invite to this one, but it's a fantastic piece of content and you should check it out on social. So now that we have some context, I actually wanted to ask Lauren to step in to chat specifically about why you should run online events and how to make them interactive. So Lauren, I'll transition over to you for now.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I wanna sort of echo what Michael has said and really zero in on the why behind online experiences and why these can matter for your brand and your community. And I want to caveat this with a note that while we think in-person experiences are the most impactful, online experiences are not going away anytime soon. In effect, we are bringing the future forward and must engage our customers where they spend their time, which right now is online. And when you think you should engage your customers online via online experiences, there are a few reasons that really stand out to us. First and foremost, fulfilling that need for connection. I know even internally having this connection among the AnyRoad team has been really important for us and also important for community building. Diversifying your experiential marketing, so be where your customers are and agile during the times of uncertainty. Delivering the high quality real-time content where pre-recorded content abounds. There's an overwhelming amount of streamable recorded content online, but interactive online experiences allow you to be personal and to bring the experience to your community. It also allows brands to reach new audiences who might be unable to visit properties in person. And this could have been, you know, a limitation even before the stay-at-home orders. So this is a cool opportunity to cross geographic divides and reach folks who might not be able to visit in person. And last but definitely not least, it allows brands to generate revenue. As well, there are opportunities to generate donations or even offer free experiences and generate positive PR during uncertain times. So if revenue and experiences were a revenue stream for your brand prior to coronavirus, it is possible to charge for them and generate revenue for the right experience given your targets. Great. We do have some blockers that we've heard from partners and folks who are trying to stand up and pivot to online. We've definitely seen this in schools and the education platforms moving to online, but with brands experimenting, we see that there are 4 key patterns that are preventing folks from jumping into online experiential. And the first one really is just getting started. It requires decisions on content, technology, and audience. Our advice is to keep it simple and start with a small pilot. Don't let this hurdle slow you down from trying something, even if it's trying with a small group of folks just to get started. The second is scaling online experiential. It requires really great quality control. Our advice here is to pick and train a consistent team that can optimize for that consistency of experience. And Michael, I've heard you say that consistency trumps virality, and I absolutely agree. It's also important to collect feedback about these experiences so you can get a pulse on how guests are feeling about the quality of your content. And to that point, the third challenge has been data and measurement. It's just as much of a challenge in online experiences as it is for real world experiences. So in order to make the most of your proof of concept, you'll need to be able to iterate and leverage what's working and then get rid of what's not. So our advice to overcome this challenge is to gate your online experiences with some sort of registration or ticketing prior to the event, so that you can analyze the data in an ERM like AnyRoad. And this gives you that control of the first party data, which you can leverage post-experience. And the fourth one is about engagement. So true experiential has to trigger multiple senses. So here a solution would be coupling your online streaming experience with a real world product that is a multi-sensory engagement. For instance, you could bundle an online yoga class with a custom playlist, some essential oils, or a new yoga mat that someone could purchase. And it's really important to understand what these challenges are so that you can assess where online experiences might fit into your strategy and how some of these challenges might impact your brand. I'm going to use a standard funnel slide here because it helps illustrate some of the decision points brands might make around content. For instance, experiences to build loyalty tend to be further down the funnel and more personalized and engaging, whereas top of funnel activations really seek out scale and larger crowds. So you'll need to match your strategy and tactics here to ensure you deliver the best experience depending on your target in the funnel. And once you determine how online experiences fit in for your strategy, all of your downstream decision making gets so much easier. For instance, choosing the right technology to support your experiences. Things like social channels, Facebook Live, YouTube might be ideal for sort of top of funnel, but as you're getting more into the personalization and interaction, you might look at something more like Zoom or GoToMeeting or Teams. So if you have that good idea of where experiences fit in your strategy, choosing the right platform will be much easier. And on that point, I'm curious to hear where folks on the phone fall into online experiences with their strategy. So pass it over to Michael to start off a poll.
Thanks, Lauren. I am going to pull up a poll here now shortly. If I can find it on my dashboard. It seems to have gone away. Yeah, where are my polls? So this is an awkward one. I think my poll option has actually gone away. Lauren, are you able to see the poll there on the toolbar? There we go. It's back. Thank you for that, Lauren. This is why another tip for us actually when you are running an online experience is to have two people. So particularly for larger scale events is to have a second person who's a moderator or two co-presenters. Not only does it make it more interactive, but it also creates a bit of a safety net in case any functionality doesn't work. So I'm going to launch this poll because we really want to see how online experiences fit into your strategy. So I'll launch away right now. So think top of funnel, further down through the funnel, and where you'd see yourself starting. So we're starting to see some responses come through. It's good response volumes. You've got 50% of you completed the poll now. I'll leave it up a little bit longer. 60%. Come on, let's try and get it up to 80% at least. We're almost there. All right. 78%, 80%. There we go. If anyone wants, I'm going to give you another 5 seconds, and then I'll close the poll. 2, 1. All right. So what we're seeing, I'm just publishing the results here, is that there's a heavy emphasis on tours, and I think I'm seeing, based on on the number of customers on the line, who I know do a large amount of tours. That's obviously an interest area for you. But I'm also seeing private events and brand activations as two big buckets. So what we'll do is we'll try to emphasize some of these points as we go through the content. So Lauren, back to you.
Yeah, I think that poll is really helpful because we're actually going to dive into a few examples of things like brand activations, as well as tours and more private events. So I think some potential examples here might help brands envision how online experiences might work for them. And before we dive into them, please note that these are fictionalized examples. They're meant to sort of get our creativity flowing and can easily translate across a variety of industries and applications. So if we're starting at the top of the funnel with a large scale brand activation, which a few folks have said that they're interested in, the goal is to, in this example, attract new customers and improve their intent to purchase. So brands are investing big budgets in these activations via social streaming, but the insights that those social platforms yield are extremely limited. So here we recommend pairing AnyRoad at Home with a YouTube Live solution, which you can also stream to Facebook Live, that would allow you to host large groups without compromising on the insights and success metrics that you're trying to measure. And this, you can get really creative. You can offer it as a public experience, a private experience, or sort of a hybrid event that would be broadcast to an even wider audience that might have less interaction with the DJ. And we saw great success here with Fortnite and Travis Scott. We were wowed. They brought in 23 million unique visitors with a model like this. And we believe that brands can create a lot of impact here, especially if they offer more tangible items alongside this experience, like a concert tee or a custom playlist. And then using AnyRoad and YouTube, you could A/B test a large scale activation like this with smaller group sessions or even one-on-ones to see how those different scales actually impact your success metrics. So I think that this example will resonate with a few of you who really bring education to your tours or education into a private event or class, because this is a more community and educational based experience with a goal of converting passive customers into champions and driving repeat purchases. So data has shown us that guest satisfaction improves when guests learn something new from your brand. So that's why we formatted this in more of a class format where you're teaching to drive satisfaction and to ultimately drive changes in your guest behavior. So in this example, the learning is a craft. I don't know how many on the phone would be offering something like that, but if you think about a class or education, this could just as easily be a cocktail making workshop. It could be a home brewing class, or if you're in the financial sector, it could be a budgeting or investing workshop. So teaching something here, you could actually measure what percent of attendees thought that they learned something new after the experience. You could also measure things like their Net Promoter Score or NPS to see how customer satisfaction changes. Specifically, we would want to pair a Zoom or some sort of interactive platform here. We've seen that interactivity between a guest and hosts can increase Net Promoter Scores by up to 58 points, which is a tremendous jump in customer satisfaction just from a small decision around using an interactive platform versus a more open platform. So again, we have some multi-sensory experiences here with a sewing kit or a cocktail kit, or even just a simple shopping list that links out to where a guest could purchase these items. So for my tour fans, this is a pretty tech forward kind of tour. This would be a tour of a car or a virtual test drive. but using similar technologies like a GoPro or a mobile camera or even a more sophisticated 360-degree camera, you could easily take guests on a virtual tour or a virtual test drive. And this type of immersive experience could lend itself to more property tours like a brewery tour, or even a small scale tour like a home closet tour paired with a personal styling. So you can get really creative with the format here. And here the brand might be looking to increase conversion rate. So people who weren't familiar with the brand or who are kind of on the fence who became brand champions. And this test drive could be offered to a group or in a one-on-one setting. For larger purchases, this could also be an opportunity to allow a long distance relative to jump in on a significant purchase. I saw that recently with a custom wedding dress. So you could actually invite your mother of the bride who's across the country to join that virtual design. And the same could be said here for a large purchase like a car.
Yeah, I love this one, Lauren, because I see some of the Fiat team on the call. This case study or the screenshot that you're seeing is from 2014. It was a campaign that Fiat and Isobar Brazil ran to demo a virtual test drive concept. But just look at how technology's advanced in terms of online streaming since 2014. And, I really do think that given the environment we're in, virtual test drives will start to see a bit of a comeback and might go mainstream for the foreseeable. I think as well, just to comment on the brand metrics that you're mentioning, the timeline for car purchasing can vary wildly depending on the intent level. So having some leading indicators like this is super important to look at the ROI in the near term of your program. So thanks to Fiat team for joining, because this is a really cool example. I'm excited to see how you might develop this over time.
Great, we're changing gears here, so no pun intended. We're moving to a more personalized or private by request experience. And this sort of echoes what some folks said in the poll, that they're looking for more private events and classes. And we've seen a great trend here with the rise of the Zoom birthday party. So we've sort of expanded that idea as a private beauty birthday party. This could be hosted by a beauty guru, a great idea for a girls' night in, or even just a special treat for Mother's Day, where a guest could work with a beauty expert and get coached through how to make an at-home mask or master a bold lipstick. Again, a spa-like playlist or a care package that would be delivered to your door the day of the experience would be an incredible multisensory touch. And here we would again capture the guest satisfaction via Net Promoter Score, or you could use certain success metrics to target guests by geography to see how different areas of the country or the world are converting based on these smaller scale intimate experiences.
Yeah, I actually want to just chime in on this one as well, Lauren. Forgive me. I think this is a wonderful role of example of what brands can play in this crisis. Personally, my family spread out around the world, and my parents are 5,000 miles away at home. It's my birthday Friday, so what would be wonderful was a private event with a brand such as a tasting or some sort of product that I really enjoy, to get our family together around and have a fun experience. So, for me, this is a wonderful opportunity to build loyalty with your followers, whether you're, regardless of what brand you are. So if you think this private experience is something that will serve your brand goals, give it a bash, and try and start small. You don't have to publicize it. You can pick a close friend of the brand or a friend of the business and test the concept with them to see how it goes.
Come on, Michael, I know you want to learn how to do a lipstick for your birthday party. Where that beauty example might not have been up your alley for the birthday, I think this exclusive tasting experience might be more your style. The image here is of a beer tasting, but this can translate really well to any sort of tasting, from beer to spirits to coffee or hot sauce. So you can get really creative. And brands could market this even to a different segment. So think about marketing to distributors or their industry partners or their repeat guests and super fans. So because of that exclusivity element and the VIP host, maybe a master brewer or master distiller, our data shows that guests are happy to pay a premium price for this type of experience where they can translate it to a clear value, especially if they wouldn't be able to get that sort of VIP treatment if they came in person. So we recommend pairing this with Zoom so that people could interact really closely with that VIP host, and then pair it with a sensory boost like an at-home beer delivery or a special edition 6-pack that's exclusive for this tasting. So this could serve as a great opportunity to build your data set, monitor future purchases and preferences, and foster your brand loyalty.
And Lauren, I'll actually add to that as well, because I think this type of use case, as with the one before, has a trade marketing and training um, element to it. So, with corporate travel curtailed, you may not be able to send your product experts in field to meet with restaurants, bars, or any of your trade partners. And instead, you would need to deliver the experience remotely. And I think that sensory combination of product and a demonstration is a great way to promote your brand. And if you paired it with an ERM like AnyRoad, you could also see the pre and post net promoter score for the folks that you're training. So I think, again, we're looking to our customers to show us examples of innovative use cases. These are just some of the ones that we've come up with and that we've seen discussed amongst our customers so far. So excited to see how some of you will use this medium.
Great. And as you think about diversifying your experiences and potentially putting together a hybrid of both online and offline experiences, we put together sort of a quick checklist to help you align your goals to your outcomes. So first, determining what type of experience and what goals you're trying to achieve, whether that's through, increased engagement, education, creating brand champions, and then pairing those with the right metrics in that middle column to actually measure what is my ROI on this experience? How am I going to measure if this is working or not? And finally, thinking through the different data sources where you'll get this information. So as Michael mentioned earlier, the lack of data is really a key challenge for offline and online experiences alike, which makes us really excited to introduce AnyRoad at Home. So AnyRoad at Home is our newest product suite, which is a solution for brands to plan, execute, and measure the impact of online experiences and events. So this is in addition to the existing AnyRoad platform, which you can continue to use for managing offline experiences. But we accelerated the development of AnyRoad at Home to enable our partners to engage their loyal and prospective customers in their homes during the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. So like I said, we still believe that the most compelling experiences take place in person in the physical environment, but we have seen those innovative virtual experiences in the market. And so with AnyRoad, the existing platform, plus this addition of AnyRoad at Home, you can see how online experiences are driving engagement and community, both in the near and long term. So I do want to give a few highlights of where I think AnyRoad at Home shines. There are 4 key areas. The first being flexibility. So you can choose the video technology that works for you, and we're impartial to the platform that you pair it with. The second is our go-to ticketing and payments, which we've been using for years, as Michael mentioned, for millions of experiences in person. And that best-in-class ticketing and payment system is still around, just applied to online as a new medium. Third is the audience insights. So brands can capture valuable first-party data, everything from detailed guest demographic information and guest sentiment to brand and NPS insights, as well as return on investment. Which brings me to that final point, measuring your ROI. This is really invaluable if you're putting any sort of investment into experiential, because AnyRoad can integrate with your POS and CRM systems to prove just how your investment in experiences is paying off. And I do want to talk about setup a little bit. I'm sure we'll get questions from folks who want to try this out. Setup is super simple so that you can focus on your experiences and delivering great content to your customers. So once you've determined your goals and strategy, like I said, the setup is super easy. First, you would select the appropriate streaming platform that matches your goals. You would then schedule a rehearsal and start to tell targets about it. Like we said, this doesn't have to be spreading the word to your entire platform. You can start small and iterate and gradually roll it out to larger audiences. As well, the team here at AnyRoad is here to help you make the most of those rehearsals and hone your content. And finally, you can try it out. So running your first online experience can be incredibly exhilarating. And we've seen a brand's first attempt yield amazing insights that they've used as a jumping off point to improving their online ongoing experiential program. To that point, Michael and I wanted to share a little sneak peek because we did gather some insights for today's webinar, which everyone on the call today actually registered through AnyRoad at Home. So we wanted to share with you some of our goals and how we put this into practice with our insights. So like I mentioned, when you signed up for this webinar today, guests registered online using our AnyRoad at Home product. And before we set up that registration, Michael and I put our heads together to structure a few additional questions based on our goals so that we could learn more about our guests on the phone and keep our key objectives in mind. So on to the data. The first question that we asked was, do you plan to offer online experiences? And 85% of guests on the phone today said yes, they did. This was reassuring for us to know that we would be hopefully delivering valuable and relevant content to you all today. It also made us ask a few more questions, and we wanted to dig deeper into that 85%, which we asked the question about what was your role or job title, and then we sort of crossed that with this answer to this question. So on the next slide, Michael, you can see that there were actually some differences by role within an organization. 100% of executives are all in on online experiences. So this was, again, encouraging to us because we see that these are brand leaders who seem to be embracing the future of experiential marketing. And our data showed that execs might have some work to do to encourage the rest of their teams to adapt. But like we said, starting small and having that executive buy-in is really important to get your online experiences off the ground. Another question that we asked was if people have hosted an online experience before, and 53% had said that they were new to hosting online experiences. So to those 53% who are new, now is the time to start small. You can try to leverage the executive sponsorship that we saw on the previous slide and capitalize on the current demand from guests who are really interested in attending online experiences. So our data shows that people are interested. They are attending online experiences. In fact, 3 of 4, or about 78% of you on this call said that you have attended an online experience. So it appears that there's a sort of gap here and an unmet need for these unique, engaging experiences for the more than 3 in 4 people who are attending, but only 1 in 2 people who are actually hosting. So I think we can say, we can maybe mark that up to 100% now after today's webinar. Another goal that we had in mind was to really educate and inform the guests on the phone today, and to put it simply, grow the AnyRoad fan club. So we wanted to measure brand conversion rate. And this is the percent of people who were sort of neutral before this experience who became brand champions after the experience. So this is a shameless plug, but please do respond to, you'll get a quick survey tomorrow to give us feedback on what was useful and how we can improve this sort of webinar going forward. By answering that survey, you'll also get a little glimpse into how a guest experience might be if you were collecting this similar data, brand conversion rate or a rating on any of your online experiences. And then down the line, Michael and I are really excited to do some A/B testing and comparison of what works looking at Net Promoter Score across different types of activities. Again, offline isn't going anywhere, so we're seeing both in-person and online experiences that now you can compare side by side on your KPIs to see which ones are reaching your target audiences most effectively. So I'm going to wrap up my data piece. It's my favorite part, but we're keen to join our customers and who are innovating their online experiences and using insights from their AnyRoad dashboard. So Michael, I'm going to let you talk about a few customers who are actively using this today.
Thanks, Lauren. That was really, really good content. You know, the most important thing here is that we have an early access program for AnyRoad at Home. And so if you guys choose to give this a try, you can reach out to us at experiences at AnyRoad, or follow up, respond to any of the emails that you get from this. But if you did to choose to try it, you're going to be in really good company. We have Michael's delivering instructor-led online courses to their community of makers. So some really cool use cases. You can see those on michaels.com. Beam Suntory are doing Scotch whiskey tasting, private tastings, right at home from the comfort of your couch. Bardstown Bourbon Company is doing distillery tours, but also tastings for their brand. And Sierra Nevada are doing expert-led tastings with and home parties and private parties from their Mills River Brewery. So some really, really cool brands delivering some very, very engaging experiences that, you know, us at the AnyRoad team have had the opportunity to try out and test. And so there's more brands testing out these things. And if you're interested in joining them, you can definitely engage with us. So the other thing that we think is super important to learn today is, you know, obviously as a new person in marketing, I want to make sure that we're producing content that is informative and helpful for you. So I wanted to run a quick poll to see what type of content that you'd like to see from AnyRoad in the future, whether it be about AnyRoad at Home or virtual experiences or any other topic for that matter. So I'll run a quick poll here, and we shall see what comes back. So we can look at online experiences, concepts and ideas, case studies, getting started material, kind of expert panel discussions with your peers and other folks in the industry, or other topics. And, you know, for the other topics, I can reach out to you guys and get insights. So this is really good. We're much faster this time around on the poll. We've got 70% have responded. Let's try and get that to 80 if we can. Creeping up slowly, going once, going twice. We're almost there, 79%, going 3 times, 80%. Wow, that was cool. So what we're seeing is there's definitely an interest in seeing online experience concepts and ideas. Good news, us, the team at AnyRoad, have started to compile a list of online experiences that we've seen. So we've got about 60 of them in a spreadsheet, which I'll share in the follow-up email tomorrow to you guys. But we also might do some future content around this, which is more of a deep dive. And so that is the almost there. So we're going to just do a quick wrap up before we get to Q&A. But I think the 4 takeaways that I'm going to take personally from this is definitely to start small. Speed definitely beats diligence to get your first experience done. And so if you want to keep it small to a private group of friends and to test out that experience and refine it before going public, by all means, give that a try. Number 2, I think if you're not capturing customer data, you can't demonstrate ROI. So we've seen some really wonderful examples of experiences where there's no data being captured. And so while you're going to see maybe some correlated demand, it's very, very difficult to connect that to ROI without capturing data. So the third piece is test and learn. So using that data and this kind of start small initiative, you can kind of have a Kaizen or continuous improvement concept, constantly improve your experience. And so indeed, we're going to be practicing that here at AnyRoad. This is our first webinar that we've done. And so there's plenty of lessons learned, and we're looking for the feedback that we'll get tomorrow before we iterate and improve on the process. And the fourth takeaway I think is super important is match the technology to the tactics. So if you want to do a large scale brand activation where you're having thousands or indeed hundreds of thousands of people live, Zoom probably isn't the technology for that. I would opt for YouTube Live or one of the others. But if you want to do a highly personalized interactive experience, you would probably go for Zoom meetings. And in this instance, which is kind of in between, we go for Zoom webinars. So there's multiple tools out there for you. If you're chatting to the AnyRoad team, we can give you advice on what to choose. So that's it for the webinar content. We're going to jump over and start taking some questions now because I've seen a bunch of them come through. I'm going to have Lauren kind of screen them because as I'm sharing screen, I can't see. It's one of the catches. I can't see the questions right now.
Yeah, there are some great ones in here. I'm going to start with actually the first one we received, which was, will AnyRoad still be active in offline tours and activities when the virus is less active? And I can answer this one, which is absolutely. Yes, we are still 100% active in the offline, in real life experience world. Even with the virus less active, we haven't sort of slowed down our technology. So we're still here for you whenever you're ready to begin offering those experiences in real life again. Another question that we had, which is a great one, which is, are you seeing more pickup on paid experiences that are open to the public or those that are booked for smaller or private groups? So, Michael, I don't know if you want to talk at all about payment or paid versus free experiences, and I can chip in as well.
Yeah, I think that we're seeing a mix, and I think I've seen people charge for private experiences that are more VIP, so like a private tasting or a birthday party. We've also seen people have optional charitable donations. So if you're running something and you want to maybe fundraise for Food Banks of America or something similar, you can do that. But I think it all depends on the actual content, and I think actually Daniel, our COO. And I were talking about this yesterday, so I might see if Daniel wants to chime in. Daniel, you're more than welcome if we can get this to work.
Yeah, hi Michael and Lauren. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know. So pricing is really interesting. What we've seen, it's a great question. I mean, what we've seen the trend through the COVID experience is that a lot of brands were scrambling at first to grab any straws they could, and we saw a lot of brands offering free experiences, overwhelming. I think a lot of people didn't even know where to start because there's so many things going on online. We do see a shift in the industry right now that brands are rethinking the value that they're bringing to consumers. So the larger, generally like webinars, you're not going to see people charging for. It's about providing initial value, top of the funnel. But really, when it comes to the value that you can bring to consumers, absolutely, consumers are willing to pay for that. I generally think as you get down the funnel, thinking about those exactly as you said, Michael, VIP experiences. One of the biggest things we always tell brands is to iterate. So understand like what are your goals. If the goals are to get the word out there about your brand, you might not want to charge. Is the goal actually driving revenue for the organization? Well, that's going to be key. One of the big things that we've seen brands go from free experiences to paid experiences, and not only drive revenue, but also actually see a brand lift, an increase in brand perception, because it does put value on the experience. So as Michael also said, what you can do through AnyRoad, or you can actually set it up so there are paid tickets. But if people can't pay or are in a position where they don't, they're unable, you still have them there. But again, it does put value to the experience. But again, it's about testing, understanding exactly what is the balance, what is your audience, and really thinking about that value that you provide for them.
Yeah, I'd second that, Daniel. I think it's all about the value gained as well. And I think some brands, given the economic hardships that consumers are facing, may look to kind of an honorarium type of payment model that you talked about. But yeah, there's different ways, and I think it's about testing. Lauren, I don't know if you have a point of view on that one, or if we want to move on to the next question.
I think you guys covered it.
Awesome.
We have a couple more logistical questions about can tools like phones and digital cameras work with AnyRoad at Home? Will WebEx work with AnyRoad at Home? And the answer is yes, all of all of the above. I think, again, it goes back to what are your goals? Who is your audience? And what sort of content are you trying to put out into your audience? There are lots of ways you can get creative with using phones and tripods and different online services like WebEx and Zoom to offer high quality content even with a phone camera.
Yeah, I'd add to that is actually some of the things that I've seen work really well is having multiple cameras. So if you're doing a demonstration or a class, you can configure these technologies to toggle between cameras. So if you wanted a talking head, you could have the camera here right in front of us. You could have a tripod mounted camera above, which would go down on working hands where you might be doing some crafting. So I do think it's, again, something that you can test is multiple different camera angles. That's where it gets a little bit advanced, and where you can do a little bit more advanced tips and tricks as you learn.
We've got a few questions in here about additional costs and fees for AnyRoad at Home. So I don't know, Michael, if you want to share some more information about that.
So yeah, I think if you're interested in talking about pricing or costs, let's pick up the phone. I think we have generous incentives to get new customers on board, and we'll be flexible on how we price and package things. So let's start a conversation. For existing customers, just reach out to your rep. The idea right now is for AnyRoad at Home and existing customers is to get back using the product and getting value from it. So talk to your customer rep, and we'll figure that out. But right now we're trying to get people using the product and get data, and that's our priority.
Great. We also have some questions about the data and analytics. So are the analytics separate for in-person versus online? And from a customer success account management perspective, I will say yes, both. You can either combine them, you can separate them, you can compare and contrast. So it all depends on what your ideal setup is for your brand, as well as who needs permission. I know sometimes the folks doing online experiences are a different group than those doing in real life, and we can be really flexible to make sure that you have the right setup for your team.
Absolutely. I think we're coming close to the top of the hour. Lauren, will we take one last question?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many good ones. I think the last one is appropriate. Like, is there a possibility of creating a demo to set up if I'm an existing AnyRoad customer? And there absolutely is. So we can partner with you to set up something so you can see it in action. And again, just reach out to your account manager, account executive, and we will work with you to make something beautiful for your brand.
Awesome. And just on the questions note, we have prepared an FAQ of the questions we're getting from customers and prospects, and so that's available on the AnyRoad knowledge base. And so we're going to add any of the questions that we get today to that knowledge base, and try to make sure that we answer your questions directly. So if we didn't get to your content today and it's something that you really want to know, either email your account manager or email experiences@anyroad.com, and we'll get back to you one-to-one. But I'm really glad that this is an awesome turnout today. Normally, from my experience in these B2B webinars, we get about a 30% turnout. We're more like 75% today, which is outstanding. So thank you all for taking the time out and keeping so attentive throughout the content. So really enjoyed having you all. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you at the next AnyRoad webinar. Bye for now.